You have to understand is that all of us before we came to Christ, before conversion, were in darkness. We didn't know of Christ. We didn't believe and want to live in the light. Scripture says in John 3:19, and the judgment is based on this fact, or the translation. This is the verdict. Light has come into the world, but people love darkness. Another translation, and this is the verdict, this is the judgment, that the light has come into the world, and men love the darkness rather than the light, for their deeds were evil. So how can I be able to still reach my people, my offspring, my children, though they were at enmity with God, though they cursed his name? How can I reach those people in darkness? Because knowing that all man at the fall of Adam would gravitate towards and have proclivity towards darkness. How can I reach these people? God, in his foreknowledge and great wisdom, he has a way of reaching people within darkness. Do you think that God only starts working upon people upon the onset or the initial point of conversion? No. God, in the midst of a person's darkness, in the midst of a person's life, as they emerge in the hands of Satan, God is there. God is every second playing a reverse card on the devil and on the satanic kingdom. The eyes of the Lord are everywhere. God masterfully weaves every situation, though it being evil. He's able to weave and utilize that situation towards good, towards a better outcome, incrementally toward the future. It says in Genesis 1:2, the earth was formless and empty. Darkness was on the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters. And God said, let there be light. So, God called light out of darkness. It makes you wonder, was there light always there, hidden within the darkness? That God, though there be darkness within the heart and the lives of mankind, God was still working within the darkness. It says in John 1:4, in him was life, referring to Jesus, God manifested in the flesh, and that life was the light of all mankind. For it says in Romans 8:29, for those God foreknew, he also predestined to be conformed to the image of his Son, that he might be the firstborn among many brothers and sisters. So, all of humanity was foreknown and predestined to be conformed to the image of his Son. Even in darkness, God is weaving things within mankind. How exactly does this happen? You see, the point of all this is that God has placed his treasures within earthen vessels. Is this simply upon conversion? Or has this treasure been always within man? Because God was willing to die for humanity when we were his enemies. So obviously there was a treasure preceding those that came to Christ. If God was willing to give up his only begotten Son, who's the most prized possession in all of universe and time, now and forevermore, what will he not give us? Will he not give us all things? He sacrificed himself for you when you were in darkness, so he obviously saw a immense value within you. The insearchable, unfathomable, enduring, unending riches of Christ. That Christ would be formed within you. When we look in nature and we speak about plants or trees, trees don't simply exist only when they sprout out of the ground. Plants don't simply exist only when they emerge from soil. There is a seed, and that seed sprouts in underneath the surface, in the obscurity, in the darkness. There is activity happening, that God is working in the midst of the darkness. It says in scripture that in Isaiah 45:7, I form light and create darkness. It also says in Psalms 139:12, even the darkness will not be dark to you. The night will shine like the day, for darkness is as light to you. So, in the midst of the world's darkness, and harping back to the scripture that says that light was shown to humanity, but humanity chooses darkness and evil instead. So since God knows that his people, that he is predestined to be conformed to the image of his Son, would choose darkness, of course God had to seek his people within darkness. So God is not just in the light, he's in the darkness, because the darkness is as light to him. There's no difference. God plays a reverse Uno card on Satan every second of the day, where Satan thinks that he has a grip and a hold on a person's life. God is weaving that darkness, that evil, that unfortunate circumstance, that sin into a good outcome, and directing and leading that person on a path and a choice towards the light. If you understand a mystery, you understand a secret. It says in Romans 20, the law came in so that trespass would increase. Where sin increased, where darkness increased, grace abounded. Where darkness increased, light abounded. So, the system of the world, we may think that Satan is the God of this world. He's a fading anomaly. We're living in a rigged system, a system within the confines that God has already prescripted, that even though darkness increases or sin increases in a person's life or on earth or humanity, grace in life will abound exponentially. God is sitting from his throne laughing because he has things under control. He knows how to work within darkness and to weave even the darkness to his perfect will for that person's life. Because as I mentioned, he honors people's will. People choose darkness, but he also can weave that situation and that darkness to his perfect will, to bring people towards the light, because he's constantly calling forth light out of darkness. In the darkness, it says light to him. There was no difference, you see. Satan wasn't able to see what God was doing on the other side of Paul, when Paul was Saul, because God was working in obscurity. Even in the darkness, Satan cannot see the mysterious ways of God when he's working. But God plays a mysterious game upon Satan, and he is able to call light. He's able to formulate light and initiate light and call forth light while within darkness. So God plays a reverse Uno card on Satan every second of the day. He's the master weaver